Hello there, Commonwealth from here. The September Nintendo Direct was followed by price updates that are simply shocking. Greed that extends to pretty much everything from full releases, remakes/remasters, pay DLC, Switch Online, and more. So let's go over all of it, but first be sure to leave a like. As everything is getting worse, from Donkey Kong, Mario, all the way to the Next Zelda. Nintendo first harmed the $70 USD Game of the Year contender Donkey Kong Bonanza, all by offering $20 pay DLC that simply doesn't match the price tag. DK Island is the perfect nostalgia bait. Sadly, even with Emerald Rush or minigame mode, it is simply shallow. A real disappointment, since the Tokyo 3D Mario team has been famous for value for money. If you look at the Switch generation, Super Mario Odyssey contained the post-game with Mushroom Kingdom in 2017. A few months later in 2018, the same team gave us free DLC clothes and minigame content. It was minor, but very much appreciated. Then in 2021, we got the open world Bowser's Fury as the plus content to Super Mario 3D World, both combined for $60. And speaking of games by the Tokyo Mario team, there's more controversy caused to their gems by Nintendo Corporate in October. The physical copy and cartridge of Super Mario Galaxy 1+2 being $70 USD. No, not only on the Nintendo Switch 2, but also for Nintendo Switch 1 owners. The only argument I can see for this price is that it also plays on the Nintendo Switch 2, but in 4K 60 FPS. Still, that doesn't explain the difference in the bundle versus the individual pricing of Galaxy and Galaxy 2. $70 together on cartridge, but $40 each in the eShop. Yep, even here, Nintendo had to leave a sour taste to everyone who just wants Galaxy 2, instead of offering a fair half, so $35 US. On the other hand, Pokémon Legends ZA 2 weeks later is definitely more troublesome. Crude textures aside, the real controversy here is the decision of revealing pay DLC over a month before the game. Not only that, it is $30 for the Mega Dimension expansion that quickly feels like content that has been cut out from the base game. Since in the past, Game Freak and the Pokémon Company has really kept it clean when it comes to DLC. They have released their games first and then revealed the extra paid content months after, as we saw with the paid DLCs for Pokémon Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. Naturally, there's probably a reason for it, as the Gen 10 reveal is likely to occur with the Pokémon 30th anniversary in February. Thus, the latest they can release this paid DLC is January, but still, they could have waited until the game is at least out. Also, the price is high. $30 is higher than DK Island and Emerald Rush at $20 and will struggle to match the content of the huge Booster Course Pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is $25. The actual expansion is coming out later, much like we saw with the Breath of the Wild DLC in 2017. And let me remind you, we're still talking about October, as November also has its controversies, but at least not when it comes to the releases of the games itself. As November and also December so far is offering $70 Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Kirby Air Riders, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. A trilogy of brand new games 4 weeks apart that are at the right new game Switch 2 price, and at least for now, lack DLC announcements before the games are out. The story is very different though when we look at Amiibo, which are getting really pricey. In fact, in the case of the Mario and Luma Amiibo, which are each $40 USD, they each cost as much as Super Mario Galaxy 2 in the eShop, a game that already is being said to be a little overpriced compared to the physical bundle. But even they pale in comparison to the Kirby Air Riders Amiibo that each are $50 USD, the most expensive Amiibo released to date. And at that price, they're only $20 away from the game itself. And it doesn't have to be this way, as the basic Samus and Sylex Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Amiibo are $30 each, while Samus on her Viola bike is $40. Still, our problem really surfaces after the holiday season, namely 2026. Starting in January, when the correctly priced $500 USD Nintendo Switch 2 system plus Mario Kart World Bundle is no more, meaning that the $30 USD discount for likely the best-selling game on the system is simply gone. And with it, the $80 USD Game Beast is back in full force. And pricing gets only more contentious since the first Nintendo release of this year so far is Mario Tennis Fever on February 12th, and it is $70. which to be honest demonstrates the problem of the two-tier pricing system, since some smaller games like this should have stayed at $60. Then having, say, the likes of Hyrule Warriors and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond at $70, and then, though it is really unwanted, $80 for the top-seller mainline franchises. Yes, this is unfortunately Nintendo's strategy. Mario Kart World was just the testing waters, and very likely, new Animal Crossing, Super Smash Bros., 3D Zelda, and 3D Mario on the Nintendo Switch 2 will all be $80. The $60 price range for certain games shouldn't be a too big task, as we have seen $40 for Galaxy 2, even though it should have been a little bit lower. With that said, remakes and remasters should not be $80 per game at any point, but I fear that rule might be broken after one of the Nintendo Directs in 2026. And yes, 3D Zelda is at risk. More on that soon. For now, let's stick to what is actually out in February. Namely, Virtual Boy on Switch Online plus expansion pack. Oh boy, where do we even begin? The most controversial Nintendo system ever, which history is a massive 90s tragedy. To add insult to injury, they are trying to sell another flawed piece of plastic that is almost identical to the one that AVGN ripped to shreds over 15 years ago.
This must be one of the worst designs for any invention in history.
Even funnier, Nintendo is trying to sell this eye sickness case for $100 USD. And if you still want to experience the worst kind of effing ugly red, then you have the Labo VR Temu cardboard experience for $25. This is not an April Fool's joke, as you can only play these games with these two accessories coming to Switch and Switch 2 on February 17th. Nintendo has truly lost their minds with this one. And here's another shovel to the growing pile of Switch 2's pricing mess. A likely price hike of the Nintendo Switch 2 system in 2026, at least for the US. 15% is just the minimum, as that is just the result of US tariffs. We have already seen the Switch 1 and Switch OLED go up 15% in price, along with other Nintendo Switch 2 accessories, the Joy-Con and Pro Controller. Yes, right now is the best time to get a Nintendo Switch 2, even despite all the controversy, as 2026 is just too big of a risk to wait for on so many levels when it comes to pricing. At least for now we can avoid the worst price tag for games, so $80 USD, by getting the Switch 2 and Mario Kart bundle, and enjoy what Nintendo at least considers to be their most premium game. As starting with the new year, or if you prefer the future, we could sadly see more $80 reveals. Most of all, as previously mentioned, I fear the introduction of also remakes at this price tag. And the game that is sadly the hottest candidate is the most demanded Nintendo remake at the moment. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 4K. Zelda has so far been spared from Nintendo's worst new greed on the Nintendo Switch 2. The upgrades for Zelda Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom were completely free. And yes, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition cost $10 extra for 4K, frame rate, loading time, and Zelda Notes upgrades. But at least it was a proper one. And as many have Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pass to also play GameCube Wind Waker, like myself, it didn't cost anything for us. Nevertheless, with Ocarina of Time 4K, we could be forced to pay a price that nearly all of us didn't even pay for Mario Kart World thanks to its system bundle. We all want this game, but $80 USD for our 4K remake is simply too much. At the same time, it is likely, since Nintendo wants to test the waters before slamming the $80 stamp on the next 3D open-air Zelda game. Plus a $500 USD Zelda-themed Switch 2 system without the game, at least $40 USD Amiibo, $100 USD themed Pro Controller, and potential $30 USD DLC. As you can see, it is a never-ending cycle of greed. 80 is the new cursed number, and though I and you cannot wait for a reveal of the absolutely biggest future Nintendo Switch 2 games, we also know in the back of our heads that the price on the website will likely be 80 for Ocarina of Time 4K if real, the next 3D Zelda, 3D Mario, Animal Crossing, and Super Smash Bros. The corporate leadership of Nintendo has joined the dark side of PlayStation and EA, and are in some regards outdoing them, as we see with Amiibo pricing. New revenue streams from movies, theme parks, and also new Nintendo stores are not enough. They also need to milk their core and most loyal fan base to the max, while pricing out a growing group from the fun of their developers. This is no exaggeration. Zelda Ocarina of Time 4K, if real, could become the tipping point where people actually boycott it if it is a remake at $80 US. Simply put, things are very likely to get even worse when it comes to pricing over the next few years. But what do you think of the ever-worsening pricing situation? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to raw producer JC Funk and heroes Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf and Kintaro. You all rock and please enjoy these awesome videos.